You were not born into comfort. You were born into smoke. England, late 19th century. Your first memories are not of toys or sunshine. They are of soot on the windows, of damp walls, of your mother coughing into a rag, of your father coming home too tired to speak. You grow up in a room so small that every sound belongs to everyone. Boots on the floorboards, a kettle hissing, a baby crying somewhere behind a thin wall, the smell of wet clothes drying by weak heat, the feeling of hunger that never fully leaves. You are not special, not chosen, not important. You are one more poor child in a city full of poor children. And poor children do not get long childhoods. By the time you are old enough to understand money, you already know there is never enough of it. Bread costs too much. Coal costs too much. Soap costs too much. Everything costs too much. Except your life. Your life is cheap. So when someone says, the match factory is hiring, nobody asks if it is safe. Nobody asks if it is fair. Nobody asks what the chemicals do to a child's body. They ask only one question. How much does it pay? You are still young when you begin. Too young for the hours, too young for the dust, too young for the poison. But not too young for work. Not in this world. Your first morning starts before sunrise. The street is dark. The air is wet and cold. Your stomach is empty. Your hands are small inside worn sleeves. You walk with other workers toward the factory gates. No one talks much. Everyone is saving energy. Then you see it. The match factory. Tall walls, long windows, brick blackened by smoke. Inside, the air is thick from the very first breath. Sulfur, phosphorus, dust, hot glue, burnt wood. Your eyes sting almost immediately. Your throat tightens. But nobody stops working, so neither do you. You learn fast because you have to. Splints must be cut, heads must be dipped, trays must be carried, boxes must be filled, bundles must be tied. Every movement has a rhythm. Every mistake costs time, and time costs money. The overseer walks between the tables watching hands, not faces. Speed matters. Silence matters. Obedience matters. If you are slow, you are shouted at. If you waste materials, your pay is cut. If you complain, you can be replaced by tomorrow. That is the truth of factory life. You are not hard to replace. There is always another hungry child, another desperate mother, another father with no work. Poverty keeps the factory full. At first, the work feels endless because it is new. Then it feels endless because it never changes. Morning bell, work, dust, heat, coughing. Short break, work again. More trays, more boxes, more smoke. By midday, your back aches. By evening, your fingers feel like they belong to someone else. The worst part is how quickly your body begins to adapt. Your nose stops reacting to the smell. Your eyes stop watering as much. Your skin learns the sting of chemicals. Your lungs learn to carry bad air. What should feel wrong starts to feel normal. That is how dangerous places survive. They teach the body to accept what it should reject. The pay is miserable, but miserable pay is still pay. You hand coins to your mother and watch her pretend it helps more than it does. You see relief in her face. Not joy, just relief. A few more potatoes, a little more coal, a little less panic for one more week. Most of the workers around you are women and children. Their shoulders are bent, their aprons are stained, their fingers move quickly, even when they are exhausted. Some hum quietly while they work. Some stare at nothing. Some cough until they have to turn away from the table. Then you begin to hear about the girls with jaw pain. At first, it sounds like rumor. A toothache that will not go away. A swelling in the gums. A strange smell on the breath. Then comes the truth no one wants to say too loudly. The phosphorus is rotting them from the inside. One girl presses a cloth against her cheek and keeps working. Another has already lost teeth. Another stopped coming in last week. People say she is resting. People say she is sick. People say many things when the real answer is too frightening. You try not to think about it. You keep your head down. You keep your hands moving. Because fear does not buy bread. Fear does not pay rent. Fear does not warm a room in winter. The factory punishes more than mistakes. It punishes weakness. If you are late, money is taken. If you drop a tray, money is taken. If you talk back, money is taken. Sometimes fines cost more than the work was worth. You begin to understand that the factory does not simply use your labor, it controls your hunger. Lunch is barely a pause, a scrap of bread. Weak tea if you're lucky. A few minutes sitting on rough wood. Then back again. The tables wait. The chemicals wait. The bell rings, and your body moves before your mind does. Days blur together, then weeks, then months. You stop counting time by seasons. You count it by shifts, by paydays, by coughs, by burned fingertips, by how many boxes pass through your hands. Sometimes you watch fresh workers arrive. They stand the way you once stood, nervous, alert, still shocked by the smell, still shocked by the pace. You can tell who will stay, the quiet ones, the hungry ones, the ones who already understand they have no better choice. The factory changes how you see the world. Outside, people strike matches without thinking. A tiny flame, a brief light, a cheap convenience. They do not see the long tables. They do not see the dust in your lungs. They do not see the child carrying trays heavier than his arms can manage. They do not see the girl hiding her swollen jaw. To them, a match is a simple object. To you, it is hours of labor. It is poison. It is pain packed neatly into a small box. Sometimes, accidents happen fast. A spill, a spark, a shout, a tray dropped at the wrong moment. Everyone freezes for 1 second. Then, everyone moves at once. Panic is dangerous here. Fire is always close. The factory makes flame for a living. That means flame is always waiting. Sometimes the danger is slower. So slow you almost forget it is happening. The coughing gets worse. The headaches get sharper. Your teeth ache longer than they should. Your hands crack at the knuckles. Your chest feels tight at night. You lie awake, listening to your own breathing, and wonder what the factory is leaving inside you. But morning always comes, and morning means work. There is no room in poverty for dramatic choices, no grand speeches, no heroic rebellion every day. Most days are smaller than that. Most days are simply survival. Still, anger grows, quietly at first, in whispers during breaks, in looks passed between workers, in the way people go silent when the overseer appears, in the way wages shrink while the work never does, in the way sickness is treated like laziness, in the way pain is treated like weakness. You begin to understand something important. The factory is not cruel by accident. It is cruel because cruelty is profitable. Safer conditions cost money. Shorter hours cost money. Better pay costs money. Your suffering is not a mistake in the system. It is part of the business. And that realization changes you. Not all at once, not like lightning, more like smoke filling a room. Slowly, quietly. Until one day you realize you are angry all the time. Angry when you wake up, angry when you walk to work in the dark, angry when you smell the chemicals before you even reach your table, angry when a child younger than you starts coughing blood into a cloth, angry when someone disappears from the line and the work simply continues. Because that is the final horror of the factory. Not just that it harms people, but that it keeps going as if people do not matter. One worker gone, another takes the place. One child collapses, another child is hired. The machine never mourns, it only continues. Years pass that way, not in triumph, not in glory, but in repetition, in hunger, in smoke, in the discipline of survival. You grow older inside the factory before you ever truly grow up outside it. Your hands become faster. Your face becomes harder. Your body learns the motions even when your mind drifts. You no longer need to be taught the rhythm. You are part of the rhythm. And that is what this place really makes. Not matches. Workers who can endure almost anything. Children who become old too early. Lives measured in shifts and wages and damage done slowly enough to be called ordinary. You were not born a hero. You were not born a villain. You were born poor. And in a world like this, being poor is enough to decide everything. So when someone strikes a match and watches a tiny flame appear, they see light. You see the factory floor, the trays, the fumes, the coughing, the fines, the hunger, the swollen faces, the hands that never stop moving. A single match burns for seconds. The life spent making it burns much longer. That is what your world truly is. A place where fire is sold cheaply because human labor is sold cheaper. A place where children are taught that survival matters more than safety. A place where suffering is hidden inside everyday objects so neatly that most people never think to look. And that is the cruelest part of all. The box is small, the flame is brief, but the cost is a human life, divided into shifts, wrapped in paper, and sold by the dozen.